What's up guys, we're Ian and Anna, and in this video we're sharing the top 10 things to do in Mexico City. Let's waste no time and start with number 1, going on a food tour with a local. I'm gonna be honest, the number 1 reason I wanted to visit Mexico City was for the food, and there is no better way to experience all these iconic dishes than with this 4-hour food tour with Gibran. Gibran grew up in Mexico City and will take you to all the local hotspots with no tourists around, and even better, at the end he'll bring you into his home where his wife Daniela will serve delicious home-cooked meals as you're laughing and drinking mezcal around their dinner table. The first dish you'll try on this tour is at this tiny food cart on the side of the road serving up the best Jalisco-style birria. This family has been serving birria for 80 years, and we got to try the beef birria tacos, which are served on tortillas that are handmade right in front of you. The beef here was marinated for 8 to 10 hours in a rich adobo of chiles, vinegar, and other seasonings, and paired with this soul-warming beef broth on the side. Next, Gibran brought us to this place serving fried jalapenos stuffed with tuna. They chopped it up and put it on a warm tortilla with some fresh shrimp on top, and then you could add all these toppings if you want. This was so good, especially enjoying a Pacifico beer with it too. After that, we tried what I think was the most unique dish of the day at this tiny food cart. The ladies here were hand making these thick blue corn masa cakes, which are similar to a thick tortilla, and they top these with a layer of beans, meat, onions, sour cream, cheese, salsa verde, and cactus. Yes, you heard me right, we ate cactus. This was one of my favorite dishes on the tour because the flavors and texture was something I have never had in my life. After this, we walked around a local market where Gibran was able to describe a lot of unique ingredients and really dive deep into the secrets of Mexican cuisine. After all this, we stopped at a couple other restaurants and then made our way to Gibran's home, where we were welcomed in by his amazing wife Daniela. First, we started out with 3 fruits we have never heard in our life called guanabana, chica zapote, and mamey. After that, Danielle brought out her famous homemade tamale, which was by far the best dish we had the entire day. Surprisingly, she paired it with the best hot chocolate I have had in my life, and I'm not just saying it, it was mind-blowing, and I wish I could have it every single winter. We finished off by having 3 different types of mezcal, while Gibran explained the entire process to us, which I would love to go experience on our next trip in Mexico. I can't recommend this tour enough, especially if you're short on time, because you try so many different dishes in just 4 hours. If you want to go on this exact same food tour, you could scan this QR code on the screen right here. And the biggest tip for this tour is do not eat before, because wow, you will fill up fast. Now let's move on to number 2, the Coyoacán neighborhood. Coyoacán is not only one of the oldest neighborhoods in Mexico City, it's also the most colorful. And one of the main reasons people come here is to visit Frida Kahlo's Blue House, which was her family's home and where she lived for 36 of her 47 years alive. To be honest, I didn't know who Frida Kahlo was before coming here, but I do remember seeing her paintings throughout my life. For those of you that don't know, Frida Kahlo is the most famous Mexican artist to ever live and one of the most influential artists of the 20th century. She's known for her vibrant, colorful self-portraits that captured all the physical and emotional hardships she endured during her life. For example, at just 6 years old, she contracted polio, which left her with a limp and lifelong physical challenges. Then at 18 years old, she was in a bus crash that almost killed her, and after the accident, she had to spend 4 months in bed where she had to go through more than 30 surgeries. This crash was actually the pivotal moment in her painting career because her parents gave her an easel and mirror so she could start her self-portrait journey. During this time in bed, she was able to transform her pain and recovery into powerful self-expression through painting. On top of all these hardships, she also had a terrible relationship with her husband, who was another famous Mexican artist, Diego Rivera, which deeply affected her. And to top it all off, she had several miscarriages and even had her leg amputated later in life. After hearing all this, I was just blown away by her resilience and fearless exploration of self-identity that has inspired the world to this day. When we tried to visit her house in Coyoacán, it was fully booked for a week, which was sad because I was really excited to see the inside, so the biggest tip I have is to reserve your tickets online in advance. Seeing the outside of her blue house was still worth it, especially seeing the yellow tram pass right in front. Even if you can't go inside the museum, visiting Coyoacán is still 100% worth it because the neighborhood is stunning with its cobblestone streets, relaxed vibes, and colorful buildings scattered around for miles. I seriously couldn't believe we were still in Mexico City because the vibes just felt like a small Mexican coastal town. When we finally made our way to the town square, Anna saw the gazebo and immediately started freaking out because it reminded her of the Disney movie Coco. Even though Coyoacán wasn't the direct influence for the movie, it really felt like we were walking inside of it. And if you haven't seen that movie before, I definitely recommend watching before visiting Mexico because it really teaches you about Mexican culture. Another awesome thing to do in this neighborhood is explore the Coyoacán market, which has so many different food stalls and shops. In my opinion, visiting Coyoacán is a must-do in Mexico City, especially because it brings you outside the hustle and bustle of the city and into a more laid-back environment. Now let's move on to number 3, going to a Lucha Libre show. When we announced on Instagram that we were visiting Mexico City, one of the biggest recommendations we got was to attend a Lucha Libre fight, which was quite surprising. I remember when I was a kid watching WWE and seeing this masked man named Rey Mysterio flying off the top ropes and doing crazy stunts. Then I remember seeing a Jack Black movie called Nacho Libre, which is about a Mexican priest that supported an orphanage by fighting in Lucha Libre. These were my first introductions into this Mexican tradition, and after getting all those recommendations, it was on the top of our list for this trip. Sadly though, our flight got canceled in Dallas, Texas, so we ended up missing an entire day in Mexico City, so we couldn't end up going. What we were planning on doing was this group tour, which included a taco and mezcal pregame, and then a 75-minute Lucha Libre show at the iconic Arena Mexico. If you want to book this exact experience, you could scan the QR code on the screen right here, but just know that I am extremely jealous of you. If you've been to one of these Lucha Libre fights, let us know down in the comments below how it was. Is it worth the hype? Because I am dying to go back to Mexico City for it. There is nothing worse than getting charged crazy data roaming fees when you're traveling, so I'm super excited to introduce the sponsor of this video, Airlo. Airlo has been our go-to travel eSIM around the world because all you have to do is download the app and you get to pick from more than 200 countries. For example, we were traveling around Mexico for 12 days, so I just searched for Mexico on the app and found this 15-day eSIM for only $8. It's crazy because my carrier back home would have charged me $10 a day for data, which would have been $120 total during our trip. Because Anna and I travel a lot throughout the year, we started using Airlo's Discover Plus eSIM, which gives you calls, texts, and data in 137 countries, all from one number. It also lasts 365 days, and you only have to install it once. One thing I especially love is that you get to keep your regular phone number, so you instantly connect right when you land. If you're a digital nomad or travel a lot, I definitely recommend just using the Discover Plus eSIM so you never have to worry about data roaming fees again. Even better, you could scan this QR code on the screen to download the Airlo app for free today, and you'll get $3 off your first purchase of a Discover Plus eSIM using the code Ian and Anna 3 at checkout. Now let's get back to the video. Woo! Now let's move on to number 4, trying the amazing pastries at Panadoria Rosetta.
The perfect way to start your first morning in Mexico City is by visiting the best bakery in the city. This bakery opened up in 2012 by Chef Elena Regadas, who was named Latin America's best female chef in 2014. Panaderia Rosetta is actually an extension of her Michelin-starred restaurant called Rosetta, which I have heard is spectacular. This place opens up at 7 a.m. and I highly recommend getting there early in the morning because it gets packed, but don't worry too much because they'll hand out free samples while you wait, so you'll kind of get an idea of what you want, and it makes the time go by a little faster. This was by far one of the most beautiful cafes I have seen, and right when you walk in, there are endless pastries, fresh bread, and coffees being made that smell incredible. We ordered a lot of different pastries, including the guava roll, ricotta roll with chocolate, chocolate donuts, dulce de leche, and finally a lemon-filled donut. Their famous guava roll was by far our favorite pastry. I even went back to get another one. It was so unreal. Kind of the main reason people come here, and it's 100% worth the hype. Now let's move on to number 5, Teotihuacan Pyramids.
Just like Lucha Libre, visiting Teotihuacan was recommended to us countless times as one of the best things to do in Mexico City. Instead of visiting with a guide, everyone was saying that we had to do the sunrise hot air balloon ride over these ancient pyramids. Sadly, we had to cancel this tour because of our canceled flight, but just seeing this footage, I know this would be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. This ancient city is located only 1 hour away from Mexico City, and it's known to be the largest, most advanced, and best planned city of ancient Mexico. Teotihuacan thrived around the year 400 with more than 150,000 people living here at one point. If you end up doing the hot air balloon ride, you will be able to see this gigantic avenue that connected the Pyramid of the Moon and the Pyramid of the Sun. If you want to go on the #1 rated hot air balloon ride over these pyramids, you can scan this QR code on the screen right here. This tour includes round-trip transfers from Mexico City, a champagne toast, and breakfast as well. Kinda sad we weren't able to do this. While most people around the world know about the pyramids in Egypt, they don't really know that there were pyramids built all over the world during ancient times in places like China, Indonesia, Cambodia, and of course Mexico. This has always kind of baffled me because back then, these civilizations had no form of communication and didn't even know other parts of the world existed, so I just find it crazy so many civilizations were creating these pyramid structures. One interesting thing about this ancient city is that Aztecs found it centuries later after its decline and named it Teotihuacan, which translates to the city of the gods. The Aztecs actually ended up believing this is where the gods created the universe, so they viewed it as a sacred place and pilgrimage site. Now let's move on to number 6, Chapultepec Park. Spanning over 1,600 acres, Chapultepec is one of the largest city parks in the world and twice the size of New York City's Central Park. Chapultepec is home to endless museums like the Anthropology Museum, Modern Art Museum, and even Chapultepec Castle, which is perched on top of the park's hill. The castle was one of the biggest surprises in Mexico City because of how stunning the architecture and decorations were throughout. From the bottom, you will purchase tickets that only cost 100 pesos or $5 and walk up 20 minutes to the top. Fun fact, this is the only royal castle in the Americas and was once the home to Emperor Maximilian, who was the Austrian that ruled over Mexico for 3 short years until he was executed. This castle began construction in 1785, but it didn't become a lavish palace until Maximilian, who transformed it with lavish gardens, terraces, and decorations. This was one of the most stunning buildings we have ever explored, especially with the checkered marble floors dotting the outside and the 360 views of the city from above. I definitely think this palace is a must-see in Mexico City, and you only need around 2 hours to really enjoy it. Just a heads up, the castle is open Tuesday through Sunday, but it's closed on Mondays, so just keep that in mind. Afterwards, you can roam around the park trying all the food stands, go paddling on the lake, and enjoy the quiet nature away from the crazy city. Up next, we're moving on to number 7, the Ciudadela Artisan Market.
If you want the very best souvenirs, you need to head to Lasad Market, which has over 350 stalls. It originally opened for the 1968 Olympics that was held here in Mexico City to showcase the arts and crafts from all over the country. I have never seen a more vibrant, colorful market in my life, and it felt like a maze with endless alleyways leading to the next section of stalls. We ended up buying the cutest Mexican outfits for my 2 little nieces. We bought some beautiful butter dishes for our moms for Mother's Day, and of course Ian had to buy this ancient Mayan head that is now sitting on our kitchen counter, even though I am not the biggest fan of it, but it's kind of cool, I guess. Of course, you can barter here, so don't be nervous to bring up Google Translate and try to negotiate a fair price. Now let's move on to number 8, visiting the Anthropology Museum.
Located back in Chapultepec Park, this museum is massive and showcases more than 600,000 artifacts from ancient Mesoamerica civilizations, including the Aztecs, Mayans, Olmecs, and many more. It's open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday and is closed on Mondays, so just keep that in mind. One huge tip here is to buy tickets online beforehand so you don't have to wait in a line when you get there. You can scan this QR code on the screen to buy the cheapest ticket, which is only 100 pesos or $5 US. Right as you enter, there will be this massive courtyard with a huge umbrella fountain, which symbolizes the connection between humans and nature. There were so many different exhibits that were so detailed and brought you through a story of each civilization, which was really interesting. Of course, one of the highlights here is the iconic Aztec sunstone, which weighs 24 tons and is often mistaken as a calendar. Other than the Aztecs, you probably have heard about the Mayans, and they're actually known to have better and more advanced astronomy than the ancient Greeks. The Mayans would track the movements of the sun, moon, Venus, and stars using observatories like the one you will see at Chichen Itza. Another mind-blowing discovery showed that the Mayans created the Chichen Itza pyramid using precise astronomical alignments, when during equinoxes, the shadows cast on the pyramid created a snake descending down the pyramid stairs. We actually ended up exploring Tulum and the Yucatan Peninsula right after Mexico City, and it was one of the best trips of our lives. If you missed our Tulum video, you can click the link above, or just watch it after you finish this video. But if you're watching this right now, it might not be out yet. We'll try to get it out as soon as possible for you guys. Now let's move on to number 9, other amazing restaurants that we tried.
I just wanted to share a couple other restaurant recommendations in Mexico City, starting with Santo Habanero, which is a place with every Mexican dish you can imagine. We came here one morning and immediately got the avocado and chips, which was handmade right in front of us, and by far the best guac we had during our 12 days in Mexico. Next, Ian had a classic breakfast called chilaquiles, which are tortilla chips soaked in salsa topped with eggs. He loved them so much. He ordered it multiple times throughout the trip. I had the pastor tacos and they were delicious as well. Next place I recommend is called Broca, which is a very aesthetic restaurant inside a stunning courtyard. For a starter, we had beet carpaccio, guacamole, and my favorite, the shrimp ceviche. As you can see, these dishes are elevated and the flavors were just out of this world. They also had the most unique mezcal drinks that you need to try. They were very, very strong. For our main dish, we had duck and sirloin steak tacos, and those were amazing as well. I would highly recommend Broca for a romantic date night. It was a great place to end our time in Mexico City, and I can't wait to go back again someday. Last but not least is number 10, visiting Palacio de Bellas Artes. The Palacio de Bellas Artes is one of the most iconic landmarks in Mexico that was built to commemorate the 100th year anniversary of Mexico's independence from Spain. It was built to be a cultural center to celebrate Mexico's artistic heritage and showcase its national identity. It has many murals painted by some of Mexico's most famous artists, including Frida Kahlo's husband, Diego Rivera. The Palacio de Bellas Artes translates to Palace of Fine Arts and is a premier venue for opera, ballet, concerts, and theater performances. It's a quick stop, but definitely worthwhile because the architecture is just so unique.